Hey guys, welcome to my second weekly check-in that we're giving a try here in the month of May. I have a few short stories I'm going to be talking about today, a couple books I completed, and then a couple of books I'm in the middle of. One thing that I noticed this week, so for the month of April, I tried to read one fiction book at a time, and this week especially I started multiple, and I mean there is one big one that I'm reading throughout the month, but I started multiple shorter stories, not short stories, but like average stories, and I realized I really like being able to focus in on one story. So I'm going to like finish up the ones I'm currently reading, and then I'm going to try to go back to trying to read just one average fiction novel at a time. But let's get going here. So for the short stories, I am doing the short story readathon, working on my bingo board. I only got 3 stories checked off this week. So at this rate, I'm not going to be able to do a whole blackout. I'm okay if I don't do an entire blackout. I'm working on it. Don't even have a bingo yet. I'm not working towards anything in particular. I'm just kind of reading books, and as they check off, reading short stories. As they check off certain prompts, then I'm checking those off. And then I have my short story printable that I shared last week that I'm using to track the short stories. And this way I don't have to fill up my entire reading journal with little short stories. So let's start with that. All 3 of the short stories that I read are from the Black Lizard Big Book of Locked Room Mysteries. I'm really enjoying this collection. I bought this a couple months ago from Book Outlet, and last I saw they still have this on there. It's huge. There are over 900 pages and tiny font, so there's a lot of stories in here. There's some really popular mystery authors, but then also some like unheard of ones. So what I'm really enjoying about these short stories, especially like the mystery ones that I read this week, is it's giving me new authors that I want to try more of their regular stories or like additional short stories from them. Anyway, okay, so the first short story I read was The Poisoned Tao 08, and this is by Dorothy L. Sayers. Now, I've read her first Peter Wimsey, is that how you say his last name? I don't remember. Detective story. He's not a detective, but like mystery series, and I enjoyed it, but that's all I haven't gone any farther. And so this one, we open up the story with this wine dealer. He's like a door-to-door salesman for wine. And he comes to this house that he was at pretty much this time last year. He wants to sell him more wine, and he finds out that this man has actually died the night before from the wine that he sold him last year. And this amazing wine seller, not only is he really good at selling this amazing wine, but he can also solve crimes, and he figured out what happened. The short stories in here are like 3 to 10 pages long, so I'm not going to say any more than that. I enjoyed that one. That was a 4-star short story to me, and just confirmed that what I already knew, that I wanted to read more Dorothy L. Sayers. Then, okay, so that one checked off the story for the 1900s, which is on the top row here. So I checked off that one for that. Then I read Room Number 23. That was a number in the title. So I've almost got a bingo over here. And that one is by Judson Phillips. And what I'm realizing, I don't know if it's kind of like the time period that a lot of these stories were written in, or if this is like a mystery author thing, but a lot of these mystery authors in here had like multiple pen names. So it was interesting. So Room Number 23. I'm totally blanking on what happened in that story. So I gave it 4 stars. Oh, right, okay. So it takes place in a hotel. There is a brother and sister and someone watching over them. I think maybe a detective or something. They have a bunch of jewelry, so this other guy is there to keep watch, and somehow the woman disappears. I think she's been murdered from the scream that they heard, and they're trying to figure out who did it. It's kind of like, well, it's a locked room mystery. It seems like it's not even possible, but it is. And yeah, so I gave that one 4 stars. I just totally forgot about it. So that was number in the title. And then the last one I read is called Mike, Alec, and Rufus. This was previously published as Tom, Dick, and Harry, I think. This is by Dashiell, oh, I can't even read my own writing, Hammett? Maybe. I can't actually tell what letters I had in there. I gave it 3.5 stars. So in this one, it also has to do with jewelry in an apartment building this time. And the suspect was seen fleeing, and they had people stationed by the doors, and they never left. And so they try to figure that out. So yeah, that one wasn't as interesting, 3.5 stars, but I'm really enjoying this short story collection. And what I am doing, because I'm not going in order, I am actually checking off in the table of contents the ones that I have read, so that like down the road I can tell which ones I've read, and if I ever want to like officially check off this entire book, I can go through and make sure I read them all. So I think that's all for short stories. Now for the 2 books that I finished, the first one I finished was A Peculiar Combination by Ashley Weaver. So this is the first book in the Electra McDonald, I think is her last name, series. And she and her uncle are, well, they're locksmiths really, but during World War II they decided to make some more money by breaking into safes when people were out of their homes. And right in the first chapter of the book, or second, right at the beginning, they get caught, and they are given the offer to work with the British government in recovering some war documents that are in a safe in exchange for not going to jail. And I had a lot of fun with this book. I felt like it was missing a little bit something. I ended up giving it like 4.5 stars, but there is some other, I like that there's an underlying mystery. So Electra was actually born in a prison because her mother was in jail for murder, and she finds out through this book that someone says that she didn't actually commit the crime, and Electra doesn't think that she did, and I think her mother always said she didn't. And so there's gonna be like this underlying mystery that goes through the series, I'm assuming. Book 2, I believe, is coming out in June. I've already requested it from NetGalley. I haven't got it yet, but hopefully I can. And I'm really excited to continue with this series. So I'm glad I picked this one up. I'm actually very curious to try her other series. She has another mystery series. I think the first one is called Murder at Brightwell or something like that. It has a little bit lower ratings than this first book of the series does, but I'm curious to try it. If you have read that series, let me know. Okay, and then the other book I finished was Spy Family Volume 6. Currently this is all I have out from the library. I think my library has book 7 yet. So we are following this spy who had to get married for a mission, who accidentally doesn't realize he married an assassin, and his daughter that he adopted is a telepath. In this volume, his co-worker is another spy, and she feels like she would do a better job in the role of wife than the woman that he married, and so she's trying to take over. And like this, you have to like suspend belief, I think that's the right way to say that, for this series. Like, it's not realistic. They go into this like tennis competition, and they're just amazing at it, and it's all these different things happen, and this woman is like, she's pretty nuts. But it's kind of funny. But my favorite parts are always the parts where his daughter is involved. So Anya, she goes on a shopping trip with her friend. Oh my goodness, I have to show you these outfits that she tries on. Like, she's just like the most adorable character ever. There is a Spy Family anime out there now, I think. I haven't started watching it. I would just like to finish the series, and then I'm gonna figure out how I can get my hands on it, like how I can actually watch it. Yeah. This was fun. I gave it 4 stars. Still hold to the fact that the first 2 were definitely the best, but I want to see where this goes. I think he might be working on book 10 now, but not all of them have been translated into English. Oh, and then one other thing I said, I think in my last video, was that there's like a lot of like what I called Japanese-isms, like social customs that don't make sense here, but I was assuming were Japanese. But I actually read in the back of this one, it said, I draw this manga with the idea that it's set in the 60s or 70s, but it ends up as a mishmash of the present and past. This happens because I frequently have to ask myself if something existed during that time period, and if I can't find the answer, I just shrug it off and think, well, this is a fictional country. So apparently it's not actually set in Japan, it's just set in a fictional country, which I was kind of curious about because most of our characters are blonde, and I wasn't sure if that was just the way, well, it's like 50%. But if it was Japanese, you would think that they would all have like black hair. Oh, here's another really cute picture. She's so cute. So that's what I finished. And then, yeah, I'm in the middle of 3 books. too many for me. I think I would like to keep it at 1 / there was an exception this month, because this month I am reading Rhythm of War, and I am just over 600 pages. That was my goal for this weekend. We did another page count reading challenge on my Patreon. My goal was to get to 600 pages, and I'm on page 603. So honestly though, the last few pages, I was getting very tired last night, and I might have to reread those, but I did read them. Yeah, so not a whole lot to say. We are following the characters through, this is what book, I can't remember if this is book 3 or 4. Yeah, book 4. It says right on there. Thank you very much. I don't have much to say. I'm enjoying it. It's just so long. I feel like I say that same thing all the time. I'm very excited that I might have a year off before he writes, before he publishes book 5, because I'm gonna need a little bit of time to do some like other Sanderson reading before picking up another one of those. Then another book that I'm in the middle of is Mismatched by Shatona Havig. So I got a Kindle Unlimited subscription for the next little bit. I am trying to train myself to read ebooks. I'm using one of my kids' old Amazon Fire tablets, because with my Kindle, I used to have a Kindle, but in Canada we can't access library books with a Kindle. And so I had been using a tablet, but my tablet was too big, and it's just like, it's not working. But I found my kids' Kindle is, their Fire tablet is like the same size as a Kindle, a little bit bigger, but not so much that it's a big difference. And so I'm really enjoying that. And so I got out Mismatched. So this is the second book in the Agency Files. Book 1 was Justified Means. I read that one at maybe before Christmas, around Christmas time. And I really enjoyed it. So the agency is an agency that they pretty much kidnap people that are in danger from other people. So they're outside of a government agency. They're not FBI, CIA, anything like that. They're like outside of that. And it's an interesting concept. So it's been a while since I read book 1, so it took me a while to remember what was going on. Plus the agency doesn't actually, I don't know why I'm holding this sticky note that was just going to remind me about my ebook. The agency only comes in halfway through this book, so I was feeling a little bit lost and confused. I need to do better with like reading series closer together if they're already published. Yeah, so I'm a little bit more than halfway through that. I'm enjoying it. She's got some like really good one-liners. I love Shatona's wit and sense of humor. I feel like I can really relate to that. So I'll talk more about that next week when I have finished it. And then the other one I'm in the middle of is Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meisner. This is one of the 12-ish, I don't remember if it was exactly 12, books I wanted to read this year. I'm at page 124, and I'm enjoying it. It starts out, we follow a girl, she's like in her 20s. She is in Oxford doing some kind of schooling with history, and she wanted to interview this woman that had been alive during World War II. And so she says, "So Isabel, what do you want to tell me about the war?" And Isabel says, "Well, I'm not 93 and my name's not Isabel." Like, you know, drop the mic drop. So then we flash back to World War II, and our main character is a girl named Emmy. She is 15 and she wants to draw bridesmaids dresses and create bridal gowns and sew them and stuff. And she ends up being evacuated when the London is more likely to start getting bombed. It's like apparently at the beginning of the war. I don't remember exactly. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. Halfway through, I'm enjoying it. It's comparing this to some of the other historical fiction I have read. It's good. Like, it's going to get a high rating at this point, but it's not, I'm not constantly wanting to pick it up. So we'll see how that ends. More about that next week. So let me know what you have been reading this week, what you finished, what you're currently reading. Any suggestions, recommendations for me, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys.